Hilltop Place and Brookside Court Retirement in Richmond Hill. And we also have Sandra here from the Renoir, who's part of Rivera. So together we want to thank Jaime from the Alzheimer Society for putting together this webinar series for you. We hope you really enjoy it and that you find it really helpful. Before we turn over to Jaime, Sandra and I just have a quick presentation on our 2 retirement communities that we would like to share with you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask at the end, or you can contact us directly as well. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can everybody see that? You're good? Okay. So again, I'm Kristen from Brookside Court and Hilltop Place. So I am pleased to share that Brookside Court is now under the ownership of Spring Living Retirement Community, recently established by Marlin Spring, a Canadian real estate company. We also have acquired 9 other retirement communities located in Oshawa, Mississauga, Ottawa, Kitchener, and Waterdown. So our mission is to create a warm, welcoming, secure environment for residents, foster caring connections, provide personal service for team members who are committed to making a significant impact. Our vision is to provide a unique and caring communities where everyone is supported to reach their fullest potential. Spring Living Retirement Communities is focused on creating value by enhancing the quality of living options available. I'm just trying to close that. Oh, perfect. So I'm going to start that again. Spring Living Retirement Communities is focused on creating value by enhancing the quality of living options available for residents while maintaining accessible price points for everyone. All of our retirement communities offer independent supportive living with personalized services, and some of our communities also offer assisted living and memory care. Residents benefit from socialization, 24/7 access to health care, personalized services, nutritious dining experience, and a range of recreational and fitness activities. So Brookside Court and Hilltop Place is located in the heart of Richmond Hill. We are 2 cozy communities. Hilltop Place is a bungalow-style residence that offers independent supportive living, and Brookside is a 2-story residence that offers assisted living. And we also have a secure floor for anyone looking for a loved one who might suffer from dementia. The community offers a variety of suite options, including 1-bedrooms and studios. And we also have a respite program available if you're looking for a short-term stay. So included in your independent supportive living, you're going to have 3 nutritious meals and snacks provided daily, a selection of recreation programs, weekly housekeeping. We have registered staff 24/7, a call bell system, personalized care services directed to each resident, and a respite program available. We have our assisted living, which includes 3 meals and snacks daily. Again, our recreation programs, housekeeping, personal laundry service, daily tidy, and reminders for meals and activities. We also provide personal care services and have our registered staff available with a call bell system. And again, our 2nd floor is secure, so if anyone is exit seeking or wandering, we're able to keep them safe on our 2nd floor. And we do this by giving them a Wander Guard bracelet. Caring Choices Made Easy is basically together with our team and our families, we provide unique personalized care services that allows for choice and flexibility, which is easily adaptable to each resident's care needs, both in the short and long term. We can provide assistance in different areas such as ambulation and transfer assistance, continence care, personal care, medication management, and nutrition assistance. So these are the communities that we have part of Spring Living. So you'll see that they're across the GTA. And I just want to thank you from Brookside Court. And now Sandra is going to speak for a couple of minutes about the Renoir in Newmarket.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So thank you, Kristen, and thank you everyone for joining us today on this webinar. I just want to talk a little bit about our community, the Renoir. We are located in the Newmarket area. Kristen, this is a picture of our community here. We are located, main intersection is Leslie and Gorham. We are a 5-story community, and we do offer independent living, assisted living, and we do have secure memory care as well. We do offer different plans of care here, and the plans are individualized and customized for each resident, as everybody's needs is different. We do have a fluidity to our care plan, so as the care needs change for that resident, so will our care plans. We are constantly assessing our residents every day, and then once we start to see any changes happening, that's when the conversations start with the family or the POA, and we try to be proactive in the type of care that a resident would need. We also work very closely with our palliative care team at South Lake, so residents can stay here right to the very end. This is how we kind of plan out our care. We do have different sections about for the activities of daily living. So, you know, morning routine, dining, mobility, accessibility, and each one of these levels, each one of these sections do come with 3 different levels. So we can take care, we can do up to level 3, which means full one-on-one assistance with residents. We also do continence care and dining. So a lot of places do not offer feeding, where we do at the Renoir. So our living options, as I said before, we do have assisted living and a secure memory care. Inclusions are the same for both. We offer 3 meals a day, refreshments and snacks throughout the day. We do have extensive activity calendar. Our activity calendar for assisted living and memory care is different than that for independent living. So they do have their own recreation person with them throughout the day doing activities that are more geared to their needs and abilities. We do have a 24/7 emergency response with professional staff on site. Our residents can have, we give them pendants that they can use while throughout the building. And there's also pull cords in every suite. They do have daily bed making, bathroom tidy, garbage removal, and also weekly housekeeping on top of that. During the weekly housekeeping, we will do their laundry. We do have laundry service. And then their live well, which is the care part of it. Being on assisted living and memory care, we do have some inclusions already included. So every resident will get 30 minutes of personalized care daily, and that's when we do the assessment, the virtual care assessment, and we see where they would need the assistance, and we put that 30 minutes towards that specific care because it is going to look different for every resident. We also offer night checks, and we offer studios and 1-bedrooms in both assisted living and memory care. On our independent living floor, it is a little bit different. Our residents are independent. A lot of the inclusions are the same, the 3 meals a day, the snacks offered in our bistro throughout the day. They have a different recreation calendar. They also have emergency response pendants and call buttons in every suite. What makes us different from all the other communities in our York region is every suite on independent living has its own washer and dryer. So everybody has their own little laundry room with, they also have little kitchenettes with microwaves and fridges. Weekly housekeeping, we will launder their sheets and towels. We offer underground parking with valet service, and cable, telephone, and Wi-Fi are all included in the price of the monthly cost of the suite. And we do have a range of suite styles, from studios to 1-bedrooms, 1-bedroom dens to 2-bedroom suites. So these, following this, is going to be some pictures of our Renoir. This is our lovely bistro area, our pool. We do have an indoor pool, which we do have exercise classes twice a week in the pool. Then we have 2 beautiful outdoor courtyards. This is being one of them, with a little putting green in the center there. And as you can see, the beautiful gardens are all maintained by our residents. We do have a resident gardening club that plants everything and maintain that all summer long. And I believe, yes, this is our dining room. So it is very restaurant style dining with lots of choices, a la carte choices and daily features for our residents. And I believe that's it. And the next slide is going to be our locator brochure. So we have a lot of sister communities, and they're all over the city. These are brochures that we can send out to people. And I think, Kristen, if you go to the previous slide, we do have Tanya Roberts, who is our hospital relations manager. She's very helpful with if you do have a loved one in the hospital and you're looking for some information and some guidance, or we have our support office number if you do want to get some information about any one of our communities, not necessarily just the Renoir. And that's it. So thank you so much for allowing us that little brief introduction to our two communities. And we will now hand it over to Jamie because we're all here for her wonderful presentation.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here in a different platform, but I'm really glad that everybody is able to join us. And I'm really glad to be able to collaborate with Kristen and Sandra. And they approached me about doing a series, a two-part series about what is dementia, what is Alzheimer's disease, and next week we are going to be talking about communication and behaviors. So these are some really great topics, and I'm going to jump right into it so I can show my screen and we can start the presentation. Can everybody see the screen okay? Mm-hmm. Great, okay. So the topic for today is, what is Alzheimer's disease? So first thing I want to show you some numbers, and sometimes these numbers get really overwhelming. And when we look at the amount of Canadians that are being diagnosed daily, that this number is increasing. Over 500,000 individuals are being diagnosed daily. By the year 2030, which really isn't that long from now, as we're almost into 2022, our numbers are going up to over 900,000 individuals. And it actually, one in person every 3 seconds is being diagnosed. So when you look at the numbers and every 3 seconds how somebody is being diagnosed, it's becoming quite worrisome as to how are we going to care for everybody and what exactly is Alzheimer's disease and related dementias, and how are we going to maybe prevent it, and what are we going to learn more about it. 65% of the individuals that are diagnosed are 65 years of age, and they are actually women. There's a lot of stigma that unfortunately comes along with any form of dementia. And there are approximately 56% of the Canadians are really concerned about themselves being diagnosed. There's 46% of individuals who are actually embarrassed to go out within the community with their families and their loved ones. And 87%, that's a really high number, that more and more caregivers really want others to recognize what it is to live with somebody and care for somebody that is living with dementia. So here's the question, what is dementia? And the first thing I want everybody to recognize is it is absolutely not a normal part of aging. It is not something that happens to everybody. It's not like our hair turns that beautiful salt and pepper, or our mobility starts to become a little bit more challenging and we get more aches and pains. We expect those things as we start to age. But developing a dementia is absolutely not normal. It is becoming increasingly common. And another thing to recognize is dementia is just a group of symptoms that individuals experience. And I'll explain more about what dementia is in a classification way. But the symptoms that you will most likely be aware of is memory loss. Memory loss is the first thing that people start to see with their families. Short-term memory and long-term memory. Why can I remember something that happened 30, 40 years ago, but I can't recall what I had for breakfast? Judgment and reasoning. How am I going to dress for the day? It looks sunny outside, but am I going to wear a big winter coat and hat and mitts? Or in the middle of the summer, am I going to wear my hat and mitts, or do I wear flip-flops in the winter? What's safe to do? It's those butterflies in your stomach that give you that feeling about, I'm just not sure about what I should do and what I shouldn't do. And individuals who are living with dementia lose the ability to make those judgment and reasoning calls when it comes with safety. Communication absolutely becomes affected. And this is where often individuals are starting to, what we call, have a word salad, where they're not able to put their words together and it's all jumbled up. They're not able to sequence their words together. And I'm going to talk more about communication when I discuss the warning signs. The ability to function on a day-to-day basis. So what do you do when you first get up in the morning? You get up, you get dressed, you brush your teeth, you get ready for the day. Individuals who are living with a dementia lose the ability to how to follow through with routine and what they need to do on a day-to-day basis. Moods and behaviors absolutely change. Individuals who are diagnosed with a dementia have so many emotions and fears, frustrations, anxiety. There's absolutely no reason why they wouldn't have changes in their moods and behaviors that goes along with their emotions as well. They're extremely frightened about why they can't remember how to do something or where something might be. So we do see changes in the behaviors because it's also their frustration and fears. Unfortunately, at this time, there is no cure for any form of dementia. 64% of individuals that are diagnosed with a dementia are diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. So what is happening? It's progressing. We cannot stop it. So it is going to continuously increase over time. It's going to start to break down our brain, and the parts of our brain that have been affected with the progression of dementia that have been damaged cannot be fixed. So the dementia umbrella, we use this term because what it really represents is each spoke of the umbrella represents a different diagnosed dementia. So Alzheimer's disease is one kind of dementia. There are over 100 kinds of dementia that individuals are living with. These are the 5 that you might be more familiar with. Alzheimer's disease, like I said, is the most common that is being diagnosed. Individuals could actually live with Alzheimer's disease 7 years before there's a diagnosis. Individuals with Alzheimer's disease do show signs of memory loss as one of the first symptoms, and they will progress over time. Individuals will start to lose the ability to communicate, their mobility, recognition. This can progress up to even 20 years that somebody can live with Alzheimer's disease. Frontal temporal dementia, often individuals under the age of 65, and it's not the memory that individuals' families are starting to recognize as a first symptom. It's behavior. And a lot of people think it's more like a midlife crisis, like, oh, my husband just went out and bought a sports car. But it's not a midlife crisis, it's a behavior. It's questioning, why would my husband go out and buy a sports car? Why would he go and spend money? Why would he give money away? So it's more behaviors that are changing that families are more in tune to first than other things that will start to continue. Lewy body dementia is one diagnosis that is very difficult. Oftentimes, individuals with Lewy body dementia are misdiagnosed, and they're often diagnosed living with depression. And individuals with Lewy body also share a lot of the same symptoms as Parkinson's disease. One thing that is really prominent with Lewy body dementia that isn't as prominent in other dementias are hallucinations. So individuals with Lewy body do have hallucinations. They are very, very sensitive to medications. So they're not able to take the same medications for the progression of symptoms related to dementia because they're not able to tolerate the medications. Their body movements start to become more tremored, their not ability to express themselves as their words are increasingly slurred. The wonderful, most talented Robin Williams, as we found out after he passed away, was living with Lewy body dementia. Behaviors are fluctuating constantly with Lewy body. Vascular dementia, great news. We know that it's the one and only dementia that we can prevent. Why do we know this? Because it's about how we take care of ourselves. It's about our cardiovascular life, how we take care of ourselves. We need to exercise more. It's about our diet. It's about socializing. It's about how are we exercising our minds the way that we are exercising our bodies. So vascular dementia is a result of a series of strokes, heart attack, cardiovascular, lack of oxygen to your brain. It could be anything that is related to how we take care of ourselves. And that's why we say we now know that this is one dementia that we can hopefully prevent because it's how we take care of ourselves. Mixed dementia is also very difficult for physicians to diagnose because they often say, oh, it's just the progression. They have Alzheimer's disease. This is something that just happens over time. But what does happen over time is somebody who does live with Alzheimer's disease might have a stroke, and they are now experiencing the symptoms of vascular dementia. So they are now classified in the mixed dementia. And it is good to know, it's important to get that diagnosis so you do know what to expect with the different dementias that you are being diagnosed with. So what I'm going to show you here as our umbrella is just raining down some kinds of dementias that you might not be aware of. And some of these you might be aware of, and you might say, wait a second, why would HIV be classified as a dementia? Because what we have actually learned is the medication that individuals are being given to treat the disease of HIV, it's not protecting their brains. So they are developing dementia. Individuals who are living with ALS, it's a progressive neurological. So all of these diseases that you see on the screen with a lot more are all progressive neurological diseases that do not have a cure and that will continue to progress and become fatal, and individuals will pass away from symptoms related to any of these or any other underlying conditions of dementia. However, the other good news is there are irreversible dementias and reversible dementia. So we've got two here. So unfortunately, yes, there are a lot of dementias that are not reversible. So Alzheimer's disease, all of the ones that we just looked at on the previous page under that umbrella, those are irreversible. There's no medication that is going to reverse it. We do know that there are medications that can help with some symptoms progressing, but a lot of those medications that we have learned might only be good for 6 months. And for some people, it doesn't work. It takes 6 to 8 weeks for any kind of medication to be settled into the body, and it won't work for everybody. It's like some people can take Tylenol and some people can take Advil. One works for the other, and we don't know why some people will actually Aricept would work for some people with Alzheimer's disease and it won't work for others. Vascular is another dementia that will actually plateau, and they could stay the same for a couple of years, and then something happens. Maybe they catch a cold, maybe they develop pneumonia, and then they go down a step. And then they could plateau, maybe they have a fall, maybe something happens to them, and then they go down again. So all of these dementias, head traumas, they are not reversible. They will progress. Individuals who are experiencing depression often show a lot of the same symptoms of individuals who are living with Alzheimer's disease. So the great thing is, if somebody is experiencing depression symptoms, to go to the doctor and to discuss this. And maybe all they need is some talk therapy or some antidepressants, a change in their lifestyle, and they will return back to what their normal state is. It is very common in older adults to experience depression. And if you yourself or somebody that you know is falling into the depression category, please go and talk to a doctor about it, because it can be reversed. There's a lot of medications that a lot of people are on. The average senior is on at least 10 different medications. And if you think about 10 medications and how many side effects and adding more medications and what's the combination that people are taking, there is a lot of medications that you do or might not realize that do have the effects of similar symptoms of Alzheimer's disease or related dementia. So talk to your physician, do your research, and make sure that you know and get a checkup with your pharmacist as well to review all of your medications and what you're taking and when you should be taking them. There's some medications you shouldn't be taking in the morning and you should be taking in the afternoon. So once all of those medications are all figured out, it can be reversed. Symptoms can be reversed. Nutritional disorders as well. Oftentimes, individuals who are living with Alzheimer's disease are B12 deficient. Now, I'm not saying when this is all done, everybody go run over to Shoppers Drug Mart and buy all the B12. But if you are B12 deficient, then you should be on a supplement. And talk to your doctor and make sure that it is something that you do require. So there are many people who are B12 deficient and that they do need to go on the vitamin to bring themselves back up, because again, with nutrition, you can also show symptoms of somebody who is living with Alzheimer's disease as well, with cognition, mobility, having that brain fog. And we also see that individuals who have other underlying conditions like diabetes, if their sugar and thyroid, if their sugars are not maintained at a certain level, they will absolutely show that same sort of disorientation and brain fog. So making sure that your sugars are where you should be and your thyroid levels are where they should be, and you will not have the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So there's great news, and as we do get older, there is something that we call age-associated memory impairment, which is normal forgetfulness. So what I'm going to show you here, and I'm going to test you a little bit. Okay, so does anybody ever go somewhere and you see somebody and they're going, "Hey, Sandra, how are you?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know who that is. Don't look at me. Don't make eye contact. Quickly take out my phone because I don't remember what their name is." Happens to me all the time. This is part of age-associated memory impairment. So I'm going to test you now. Who's this? And you can just call out who you think that is.
Suzuki.
Who is it? Sorry?
Suzuki.
Oh, you're good. Okay. Are you sure it's not this guy?
I forget his first name now, right?
Clint Eastwood.
What's that?
You were right. It is David Suzuki, but
Oh,
you didn't recognize Clint Eastwood, but you recognize, but it's like, oh my gosh, I don't remember his name. What? Oh my God, that's it. I'm done. I've got Alzheimer's disease. My mother has diagnosed herself with Alzheimer's disease for 25 years because I've been working here for that long. So she's convinced now she has it. So what about, anybody know what today's date is? Don't look at your calendar, Sandra.
May the 6th.
yeah.
All right, everybody looked at their phone and their calendar, didn't you?
No.
Nope.
Are you sure it's not December 26, 1975? Because I kind of remember that this is what December 26th looked like, but it's not 1975. So it is May 6th. But individuals who are living with dementia might not recognize the day, the time, but we roughly remember, without looking at our calendars and our telephones, what day it is. We know that it's some day in May, but if you're not working and you don't have a routine and you don't have somewhere to be, like maybe joining this presentation, is it really important that you know that it's Thursday? I think it's Thursday today, and that it's May the 6th, unless you have an appointment. Very common. There was a time where for some reason my brain wasn't recognizing Wednesday and my kids had to keep telling me, "Mom, it's Wednesday. What's with your brain?" You ever go to a party, a celebration, pre-COVID, of course, but you don't remember? You ever go to a wedding or forget about the music? What was the first dance that the bride and groom danced to? Who knows? Anybody know what the name of their song was that they first danced to? Okay, I have it because I have it tattooed on my arm, so I can't forget it. So, but it's very
Depends how long you've been married.
okay, very true. Great point in bringing that up. What about grandchildren? Recalling that you have grandchildren or grandchildren's names or nieces or nephews or anybody in the family. Knowing that you've gone to a celebration. It's very common to forget, oh, right, was that baby Rose or was that Heather? You know, there's so many babies in the family, I couldn't remember. But forgetting about even being there is a concern. Forgetting about a family event. For remembering about the first dance or what kind of food, very common to forget. How many people go pre-COVID to the mall and forget where they've parked their car? That's not my car, that's my dream car. You ever go, that's a cherry red convertible Mercedes 500 SL with white leather interior. Just so you know. How many times have you gone to the mall and you say, yep, oh great, where did I park my car? And that red button on your keychain, it's not a panic button. It's a, where did I park my car button? Very common. However, have you ever gone to the mall, forgotten about your beautiful car, and just hopped on the bus? That is more of a reason to be concerned. Forgetting where you parked your car, very common. I always like to say, okay, I've parked by the light post and it's got the letter. So, and then I have to tell my kids, remember the letter that we parked by, because I'm not going to remember. These are all associated with normal forgetfulness. If you feel that it is increasing over time, then absolutely discuss this with your doctor. This is just an illustration for you to see what is exactly happening within the progression of Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. In the early stages, individuals start to have those small memory losses where we tend to sweep them under the rug. Oh my goodness, I put my keys in the freezer. Why did I put the loaf of bread in the dishwasher? I must have not been thinking. It's in the mid stage where we really start to see the changes, where communication, the ability to walk, maybe individuals have started to become incontinent, not able to recognize things, being able to feed themselves, to dress themselves. We see difficulties with personal care, not able to be able to distinguish from people and direction. And this is a very long, difficult stage because this is where we see the majority of changes in our families. And it's very difficult for the individual living with dementia, and it's very difficult for the family who is watching their family deteriorate. And in the later stage, this is where individuals are requiring 24-hour care. They need to be maybe in a long-term care home, or maybe they're going into one of the lovely retirement homes that Kristen and Sandra mentioned, and needing more assistance and having somebody come in to assist them with more care as they are starting to progress. And then this picture just gives you an idea of what's happening inside your brain. So your brain is the average about your fist put together, which isn't really big. So you want your brain to be big, fat, and juicy. That's how we want our brains. But what happens over time is your brain starts to shrink. And all of these holes within the brain are the functions that you need to live on a day-to-day basis. And right here, if you can see where my cursor is circling, this is the hippocampus part of your brain. And that's what's responsible for retaining memories, new memories, creating new ideas, holding on to the past and holding on to the present. And you can see how it's becoming more caved in because the hippocampus is actually starting to deteriorate and you're losing the ability to hold on to those memories. This is just a lot of people actually hear a lot about what are these plaques and tangles and what exactly are they doing? So we all have these plaques building up in our brain. It's a normal thing that happens. However, individuals who are starting to develop Alzheimer's disease, it starts to stick on top of the neurons. When we're healthy, they just explode like fireworks and disappear, and they come back and poof, they disappear again. But as somebody is living through the progression and starting with Alzheimer's disease, they're not able, their body, their brain, the tangles, they're all starting to stick to each other and they're not able to communicate with each other anymore. So that's when we start to see a deterioration. So there are warning signs. And again, these are very common. So don't diagnose yourself. Don't diagnose your spouse, your family members. I diagnose my husband every night saying, all right, well, you've got 3 on the list so far. So it's common when it starts to interfere with your day-to-day routine. This is when it is important to reach out and speak to somebody about your concerns. We mentioned about memory loss, the ability to do tasks, to follow through on sequencing, getting up, getting dressed, doing things that you need to do, how you perform certain tasks. Language, I mentioned about word salads, but this is when we also see that individuals are becoming increasingly paranoid and suspicious with other people around them because they're not able to follow the conversation that's going on because they don't understand the words. So they automatically feel that they're being talked about and they can't respond back. So they've lost the ability to pick the words and when they should be used. And often there's excuses that are being made when a question is asked. So if I say, Sandra, how are you? She might not actually respond with, I'm great. Thank you for asking, Jamie. How was your weekend? And if I'm living with a dementia and she's asking me, well, how was your weekend? I'm going to respond, well, how was your weekend? Because I don't know how to answer it. So I'm just going to throw it back to her and repeat what she's saying. Difficulties with time and space. So I mentioned about recognizing about the month, the year. This is where we also have a lot of individuals saying, I want to go home. I want to go home, which is very common. Well, you might be home if you're, so I live in Vaughan. So Vaughan is my home, but if I didn't grow up here and I wasn't born here, in my long-term memory, I could be thinking that a different country that I grew up in, that I lived in, that's the home that I am talking about. So it's not getting back to this environment that I am currently in. It's, I want to go home. I want to go home where I grew up. Judgment and reasoning and decision making is a real difficult one as well, is because it's, oh my goodness, I have a headache. I think I'm going to take some Tylenol. Oh, look, the Tylenol is expired. No, it's only a couple of years, so it's okay. I'll just take 5 of them and maybe it will increase the dose and my headache will go away. So what's safe to do and what's not safe to do? It's never safe to take 5 Advil, and it's never safe to take any kind of expired medication. It's not a guideline. It's making sure that you're making the right decisions and you're making the right decisions that are safe for you and other people around you. Abstract thoughts. So this is really about money. Are you paying your bills? Are you giving money away? How are you paying the bills? Are you going out and buying things that you don't need? It's not being able to focus on paying your mortgages. Oftentimes individuals, families don't recognize that there is a problem until maybe they get a phone call from the bank or something and they say, property taxes aren't paid, or mortgage isn't paid, or there's no money in the account to pay for any of these things. Misplacing things. People start hiding things in all different places. If you feel that family is starting to hide things, valuables, make a photocopy of the originals, especially birth certificates, any credit cards, or get replicas. Because sometimes people want to hold on to it. If you're afraid that valuable jewelry is going to go missing, then go to Walmart and buy something that if it gets lost, you won't be as worried as if their wedding ring gets lost, and get something that looks like it. Moods and behaviors are changing, personality is changing, individuals' ability to recognize that they themselves are changing is going to increase people's moods and behaviors because they are so frightened that they are not able to do things, that they are going to be happy, they're going to be sad, they're going to be angry, they're going to be frustrated. They're not going to be able to tolerate certain things anymore. There might be too much stimulation around them, or they might be bored, and that might come out in the behavior or within their personality. And they might have some difficulties initiating activities. This is not them being bored. This is individuals not being able to follow through on an activity, and it's suggested to do it with them, not for them. So work together to do an activity, as opposed to saying, can you go fold the laundry, Mom? Can you go set the table? Things will take longer to get done, but if you do it together, it's about maintaining those strengths and the independence, and it's working together. So yes, there are some risk factors that we cannot control. So what do you think the number one risk factor is? And you can kind of go by the picture there. Anybody have an idea? You can just call it out.
Fire on the top one.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
So what is the number one risk factor?
Fire.
Age.
Age.
Age is the number one risk factor. Why is age the number one risk factor? Because we are learning how to live longer, how to take care of ourselves. So absolutely fantastic. I know how to take care of myself, and I can live to be 100 years old. However, I'm also at the highest risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Just because you're living to 100 does not necessarily mean that you are going to develop a dementia, but it is a risk factor. Looking at this picture, who is more often diagnosed with Alzheimer's?
Females?
Females?
Yep.
Very good. Why are women diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease more than men? I'll give you a hint. The answer is right above.
Hormone.
Women live longer.
Women live longer. Yay! So we're more at risk. Women live longer than men, so we are at a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. However, men are at a higher risk of developing vascular dementia. Genetics. A lot of individuals say, my mother had Alzheimer's, my father had Alzheimer's, my grandfather had Alzheimer's. Am I going to get Alzheimer's? The reality, you only have a 5 to 7% increased chance yourself of developing Alzheimer's disease. There are extremely rare forms of dementia that do have that genetic gene, but it's usually the diagnosis is sporadic familial Alzheimer's disease that is diagnosed, and it's just 5 to 7%, which is not a huge percentage of individuals who would carry that. If anybody was listening to Dr. Cohen from our awareness breakfast, they are doing cheek swabs to see if there is any genetic connection with family. It's going for a very short time, and she is through the Toronto Memory Clinic. So if you're interested, you can contact them if you have any concerns. So why are we talking about the brain? So in a nutshell, our brain is our computer, and it tells us absolutely everything that we need to do. It helps us move our body, what we want to say, and how we communicate. It keeps us safe. It keeps our judgment and reasoning intact. It keeps us from telling us what we should do and what we shouldn't do and where we should go. It controls all aspects of our day-to-day routine. So if our brain becomes damaged, whether it's from Alzheimer's disease or brain injury or vascular dementia, these things start to deteriorate. Not important to necessarily know about what part of the brain is responsible, but what I want to show you here is that there are so many parts of our brain and our brain overlaps, and it is really, really important that we protect all of our brain because we need each part of our brain because it's responsible for all of these things. And the front,
hello, Joey.
so here's the front of your brain here.
Oh,
that-
nice.
That's right there.
I just was doing the survey, the census thing, and one of the questions is, where were his parents born? Were they born outside of Canada? No? I thought his father was born in England.
Okay, I don't know. Is somebody talking to the group or is there a
Okay.
side
That was
conversation?
one question I didn't know the answer to, so I thought I would ask.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't know. I haven't got any farther yet, so that was just one I didn't know the answer to.
So each part of your brain is responsible for so many different things in your day-to-day routine.
thank
And there
you.
is, can I ask everybody to mute
Hello?
themselves? Because we're getting a lot of feedback.
Sure, I thought the same. You need to put the mute on your Zoom.
Yeah, can everybody mute themselves because we're getting a lot of feedback on my end? Thank you so much. So it is important that we do protect our brain because this is all of the things that we are responsible for to on a day-to-day basis.
It's on the bottom. Left brain.
So we have our left side and our right side of the brain. And what our brain is responsible for. So we have our left side of the brain that is able to articulate our language, our logic, our memory, our science, our speaking, all the stuff there. And our right side of the brain is our creative side. But in order to actually function on a day-to-day basis, we need both sides of our brains to work together. So I'm going to show you a couple of images here, and they're real pictures of what brains look like. So I'm just giving you a warning if you have a weak stomach. So this is what your brain actually looks like, and you can see how big and full your brain is. The next image I'm going to show you is of a brain that an individual was living with Alzheimer's disease. All of these holes, all of these sections are what individuals lose as they progress with Alzheimer's disease. Their functions, their communications, their mobility, their abilities to do things on a day-to-day basis. So you can see by comparing how the healthy brain is full and able to be active and function, whereas the other brain, you can see how much has disappeared and shrunk with the progression, and now that individual is not able to do the things that they were able to do. Getting a diagnosis is very important, and I do recommend it because you need to know what you are living with and what steps you need to take, what medications, if you choose, as well as what to expect as your dementia progresses. You need to know the difference between somebody with Alzheimer's disease and how they progress, as well as if somebody has Lewy body or ALS or vascular, what to expect and how to proceed. As well as it gives the person who is diagnosed an opportunity for them to express themselves on what they want, what they choose. They have a voice. So it is a long process. You go through your medical history, you go through your psychological exams, your neurological exams, cognitive, the mini mental exams. If anybody's had to go do their driving test, you have to draw the clock, and then you have to write the time and do the numbers and count backwards from 7 from 100. I can't do that, so I'm going to have my calculator handy. They better change that, or I'm going to start studying now. Then you go through your whole acronyms tests, your CT scans, your MRI scans, your SPECT scans, and this is going to give the doctors different images of your brain so you can actually see where in your brain dementia, Alzheimer's, Lewy body is being affected. So it will give you the indication as to why communication is being affected. Oh, because it's over here. Why is my behavior being affected more than my mobility? Oh, because my language is at this part of the brain. And they'll be able to see that by going through these series of tests. Now, I want to show you something, and I know we're at 2:30, but I get asked this question and about music and what the power of music is. So what I want to do is I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a minute, and I'm going to open up a new screen, and I'm going to show you a video. And can everybody see this okay? Okay. And this is an indication of the power of music. And this is a lovely lady who is living with Alzheimer's disease. And she is a professional ballerina that danced Swan Lake. Oh, shoot, I thought I closed that, sorry. Okay, And that's where I am going to end my presentation, because that to me gives me goosebumps and actually just makes me realize how powerful something like music can be. Music is tied to emotions, and those are tied to memories. And what we always want to do is our number one thing is that we always want to maintain independence, dignity, respect, and strength. And I want to thank everyone for joining today. And I'd like to also thank my two co-presenters here for joining in and inviting me. And I hope to see everybody next week when we're going to be talking about how communication and behaviors actually work together. And they actually do play off each other a lot. So that's what our focus is going to be for next week. And if you have any questions, I can stay on for a little bit longer, or you can actually let me know next week if you're able to join. So thank you so much. Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Sandra, for inviting me today.
Thank you so much, Jamie. It was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jamie, can you tell us what happens to the brain for a non-Alzheimer's? You showed us what happens to the brain with an Alzheimer's.
Right.
Does the same thing happen with other dementias?
So yes, it does. So what does start to happen with any other form of dementia is it does start to break down, and everybody's brain actually does start to shrink as we age. That's a part of a normal aging process. If you are diagnosed with any other form of dementia or whatever it might be, then yes, you do start to see the same effects that happen to your brain, just as you are living with a vascular dementia, which is from a series of strokes or lack of oxygen. So what you'll see is kind of like on the side of the brain, wherever the stroke or might have happened, you'll see that damage on the brain through those scans. And you will see how the brain does start to shrink, just like it would if somebody was diagnosed with any other form of dementia.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was wondering about delusions and paranoia. Is that a form of dementia?
So those are symptoms that are affiliated with a diagnosis of dementia. So like with Lewy body, it is really common. It does happen in other diagnosis. Sometimes the the delusions and the hallucinations could also be a result of certain medications that individuals are on. It could also be a result of something that is called sundowning, which is when the sun goes down and you start to see shadows and your brain starts to play those tricks on you. So what am I seeing? So it is common to have that in other dementias, but it is a symptom. People can get certain medications to help, but it's not going to completely take it away. There still will be those, be some symptoms of it.
Thank you.
So like the hallucinations are things that I can see, that I feel are real. I really, really see that there's a dog running across the floor, where my delusions are things that I think. that which one of the most common is that my spouse is cheating on me, which we get a lot, is I'm convinced, and that's a delusional thought.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions? Okay, well, until next week then, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing everybody to talk about communication and behaviors.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.